When you take a look at the Nintendo Switch, and I may not be an expert on the genre, but I don't really see that many park sims available, at least not big name ones. There is the new edition of Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, which, by the way, if you own a GPD Win Max, that was free on the Epic Game Store when it launched. But the park sim around Jurassic Park recently came to the Switch, and I'm glad I waited for a Switch release before buying it. Here is my review of Jurassic World Evolution Complete Edition for the Nintendo Switch. When it comes to story, there isn't really that much here in the main game. You go to the secluded islands known as the Five Deaths and create dinosaur-centric theme parks. While you do interact with some returning movie characters like Ian Malcolm and Claire Dearing, you don't really get a whole lot of story until you get to the DLC expansions, Claire's Sanctuary, and especially Return to Jurassic Park. The latter of which fans of the original movie will really enjoy, bringing a what-if scenario with the trio of the original movie going back to Isla Nublar before the Lost World happened, and salvaging the original park, redoing it the correct way. Not to mention the fact that the developers got not only Jeff Goldblum, but Sam Neill and Laura Dern to come back and reprise their roles. The first time we see, or rather hear, all three of them coming back to the Jurassic series before Dominion comes out in a couple years. When it comes to gameplay, Evolution is a park simulation management game with some slight driving and shooting elements thrown into the mix. First of all, this is the complete edition, meaning we have the base game and all DLC and update expansions, including the Secrets of Dr. Wu, though it's worth noting that that still has to be unlocked as you play the campaign. As I said a moment ago, this is a park sim management game, meaning you're building a theme park just with a Jurassic Park twist. As such, you've got some standard sim elements with making roads to connect all of your facilities and attractions and having to make power lines and substations to be able to power all of those facilities. And then we get into the Jurassic Park themed stuff. Your main attractions in these parks are going to be dinosaurs themselves, and there is a process to this. You make facilities so you can send expedition teams around the world to do fossil digs, bringing back dinosaur DNA that you can compile together to incubate and breed new dinosaurs. Once you start breeding, it gets a little more in-depth with all of the management you have to do. Dinosaurs need to eat, so you gotta create feeders and manage the area that they're in. The feeders will eventually run out, so you've got to have a little ranger team that can go in and refill them every so often, burning through your money to keep those dinosaurs alive. There's also a very big social aspect to all of the different animals you can clone. Each dinosaur has a social and population level along with all of the different terrain that they need to be around. These two bars are basically the social needs of each animal. The social bar dictates how many of the same species they want to be around, and population is how many dinosaurs total they want around in that paddock. If you go below or above the bar on any single dinosaur, they'll eventually panic and go crazy, breaking the fences and going out into the park, attacking the visitors. Not to mention, leaving medium and large carnivores together will eventually lead them to fighting and killing each other. All of this chaos leads to even more management, with you requiring an ACU team that can tranquilize loose dinosaurs and either sell them or put them back in their pens. Tying this info with all of the other things you have to manage, like visitor health, storm shelters, shopping to make money, the game has a ton of different things that you can manage, bringing simple tasks that you can do, but in large quantities. To be perfectly honest, the only thing I really disliked about the game itself was the fact that all of that social info is not given to you until you release that dinosaur for the first time. And since those heavy-hitting carnivores like the T-Rex and Spinosaurus pretty much drain all of your money away, that can be a big "I just lost all of my money" risk if your conditions aren't exactly right. Speaking of money and management, your main task in the game is to go between the 5 different islands the campaign gives you and raise your customer satisfaction star ratings up to basically have a successful park. You've got a bunch of different things that you have to manage here, from dinosaur variety and viewability to all of the different facilities you can customize, like restrooms, restaurants, storm shelters, and the list goes on. As you progress further in the game and go to the later islands, you will also face a lot more calamities and chaos, from more dinosaurs breaking out from the environments to vicious storms that will spawn tornadoes. But before diving into content and length, I want to talk about the two things I absolutely love about the game. The first is multitasking between the islands. When you start a park on a new island, you don't create a new save file. You can actually go back and forth between the different parks you have to manage both of them. A big way you make money in the game is selling excess fossils from your expeditions, and you can sell fossils from any park. So as I played through the campaign for the later islands, what I would do is go back to the first island where I had a huge money making setup, continually building up not only the island but those excess fossils. Then I would jump to whatever island I was on for the campaign and sell all of those for bank to be able to purchase a bunch of stuff really fast on those new islands. Now, the other thing is the fact that you're not always in that park sim management above the whole park camera mode. You've got ranger teams and ACU teams with vehicles, and you can manually drive those vehicles and do their tasks for them, allowing you to go into kind of a third-person adventure game mode, driving around the park and going into the paddocks, interacting with all of the dinosaurs. And this is a really great aspect. Not only can you take photos to make some money, but it's just really thrilling to drive a Jeep around, seeing all of those created dinosaurs from that ground level perspective. But now let's get back to business with content and length. Unlocking all the islands in campaign mode, meaning getting to the bare minimum of 3 stars to unlock the next until you get everything, took me around 15 hours total. And that time can easily jump up to 20 to 30 hours if you do the DLC expansions, not counting going back and unlocking all of the other dinosaurs. Now let's talk about performance, which is the game's greatest asset compared to the other versions, but also its weakest. Jurassic World Evolution did not play well on other consoles. Even on the PS4 and PS4 Pro, it could easily drop down under 15 or even under 10 frames per second. To make this work on the Switch, they downed the visual quality, especially in handheld mode. When you've got it docked, the game is a little blurry, especially when you're zoomed out of certain areas. But going into handheld mode makes the blur 10 times worse. The difference is so big, it's difficult for me to adjust to even after playing the game in both modes for a good 15 to 20 hours. On the bright side, it doesn't have any of the performance problems the PS4 and Xbox One versions have. So you've got a smooth experience from start to finish at the expense of that resolution. That's all I really have to say about performance, so now let's go into battery life. On the original model, Jurassic World Evolution has a battery range of 2 hours and 43 minutes up to 3 hours and 7 minutes. On the Nintendo Switch Lite, it has a range of 2 hours and 51 minutes up to 4 hours and 21 minutes. And on the Redbox or V2 2019 model, it has a range of 3 hours and 48 minutes up to 5 hours and 12 minutes. In conclusion, Jurassic World Evolution is on the go and performs very well. Now on the downside, the visuals in handheld mode are extremely blurry and pretty rough to get adjusted to, and some social aspects of the game lead to a lot of wasted money while learning each dinosaur. But if you're a fan of the Jurassic Park franchise, this is a great little park sim with tons of nods and without the performance issues of the home console release. Reviews to go. Rates Jurassic World Evolution Complete Edition for the Nintendo Switch an 8.5 out of 10. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below. Thanks for watching and have a great day.